Friday, March 30th, back for another episode of the Golden V podcast. And I said in the promo, promoting this show this afternoon, a familiar face in a different uniform with the same name talking about lacrosse, not for the Vancouver Warriors this time, but assistant new Westminster Salmonbellies captain Brett Mydske joining us to talk about the Western Lacrosse Association season, which started last week. I was at May 22nd's game for the game at the historic Queen's Park Arena, I should call it, when the Nanaimo Timbermen came to town for the first regular season WLA game. Obviously, there was my friend and a guy who's joined me on the podcast quite a few times, especially in the first couple of seasons talking Vancouver Warriors. Earl Thomas. Earl is from Nanaimo. He grew up watching the Timbermen. He's following all the Timbermen games he can get to in the WLA season when he can get to them in the Lower Mainland. And we'll talk a little bit about last Friday's game that I went to as well. But welcome, Brett. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you. Right? I mean, just kind of carrying on from our Warriors chats that we were having throughout the season. Obviously, that NLL season is wrapped up, and the final game last weekend, Buffalo winning their third straight title, meaning the Buffalo Bandits. Not sure I'm super happy about that because I wanted the Saskatchewan rush to win to break up the Buffalo dynasty. But let's get started talking about you guys, because I was there last week for the 12-9 victory by New West over Nanaimo, despite the fact Nanaimo led that game 7-4. And what I found really interesting, a couple of fast break goals against you guys while the Nanaimo Timbermen were shorthanded. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was our season opener, that game. It was tight all the way to the end. Obviously, they got a couple shorthanded goals, and I think it was the WLA is kind of funny, guys in and out of the lineup all the time based on their work schedule, or we got guys back east flying in and stuff like that. Yeah. So you don't get too much practice time with actually the entire team. Like in the NLL, you've got everybody on the roster coming to the practice and stuff. And geez, in the WLA, sometimes you'll get a good turnout. Other times you might get 10 people, right? So I think that game we had a good practice right before that game, but that was the first time our group's been together, and you can tell we've got kind of a lot of young guys, but a lot of experience on our team. So, I mean, we were trailing most of that game, but there was never really a sense of panic on our bench or anything like that we were going to lose. So that just shows the character in the room. But it was, you look at our offense, we had close to 70 shots on net. I think a lot of our guys are NLL guys, so the nets are actually smaller. The goalie sticks are bigger. So I know talking with a lot of the O guys, it was a little bit of adjustment shooting on those nets. And then defensively, I thought we had a pretty good game. And we ended up pulling out the victory kind of last 2 minutes or so. We pulled away.
And you've already taught me two things. I'm always learning new rules, right? So obviously nets are smaller, sticks are bigger for goalies, but people who do and don't know, four 15-minute NLL periods, 3 20-minute WLA periods, and obviously the absence of music in the WLA because you can hear the feet on the floor, which is a classic lacrosse thing. And so, that was just one of my observations from that game. And, when we talk about player movement and we talk about rosters and we're going to talk about those, we're going to talk about, like we said before we started, who the sort of top teams in the WLA are going to be this year. I should share I was at a game last Friday, again, with my friend Earl Thomas. That was the Coquitlam Adanacs and Burnaby Lakers. Nice to see now Vancouver Warriors goalie Christian Del Bianco playing for Coquitlam and recognizing a few familiar names on both those rosters. Burnaby actually winning that game, which I thought was a bit of a surprise. 7-6, considering how tough a season they had last season. But let's talk about this roster a little bit, because I was scanning it last week, even before the game started. Obviously, besides yourself, I go down, I see Mitch Jones. We're going to talk a little bit about Mitch. I see Logan Shush. I see Justin Saul. I see Terrell Hammer Jackson. I see Ryan Martell. I see Hayden Dixon. Hayden Dixon, obviously the same Hayden Dixon who plays for the Calgary Roughnecks. Obviously, Terrell playing here now with the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. Ryan Martell, who plays for the Vancouver Warriors, as I understand it. And who did I see playing for Coquitlam last week?
Ramo Shinato plays there.
That's
Tyson
right. And
Kirkness.
and so does Christian. Christian. So there's a real, there's a real cross section of guys that are obviously in the WLA. But let's talk a little bit about this roster too, right? Because obviously that's an important thing that I didn't know about. It's just that how much the fact you said before we started, a team like New West has loaded up, looking for another Mann Cup appearance, the same way they hosted the Mann Cup, obviously in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, you look at our roster from top to bottom. I mean, any given night when we got our full team there, I think everybody on the floor is going to be NLL players. So
Right.
we've got a very deep team. You look at the
Yeah, right.
offense.
Yeah.
Like you said, we got Mitch Jones, Ryan Martell, Logan Shush
Yeah.
on the left side, and Will
Yeah.
Malcolm. And then on the right
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
Tyler
That's right. I
Davis
recognize
and
Will's name
Dixon.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dixon as
Ty
well. Yeah.
Kurtz. Ty Kurtz
Yeah.
from Albany. And then we've got
Okay.
a really
Tykert's
deep
from Albany. Okay.
defense with Jeff Cornwall. Drew Belgrave, Brandon
I didn't know
Goodwin.
Jeff was actually playing with you guys. I didn't know Jeff was playing with you guys. Okay. Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I know how great Jeff was for the Warriors this year. What an addition that was for us.
Yeah, and we got a couple defenders off of Georgia, another one off of Albany. So we've got a couple off of Colorado Mammoth. So we've got pretty stacked defense too. And Justin Getty is the goalie for Vegas right now.
Yeah, and obviously we know that Vegas had a really tough season, and I don't think we need to get into that, but we know how tough Warriors seasons have been the past few seasons until this year. And I kind of felt bad for the Desert Dogs, or at least the fans, because I've been there as a Warriors fan. It's been tough, right? But let's keep moving here, because I was looking down at the Nanaimo Timberman side and trying to think of who on that side, if you remember that roster from last week, maybe not. Who's an NLL player?
Ryan Sheridan, he wasn't playing. I think he might be a little banged up.
Right.
But NLL guys, trying to think.
It's not a huge.
What's the roster?
I'm just looking at it here. Cal Slade, Aiden Collery, Bobby Kidd III, Matthew Firth, Tristan Kirkham, Noah Manning, Evan Susie, Colton Lidstone, Matt Abbott, Aiden Solomon, Luke Pilcher, Lucas Olson. Thomas Fasten played a great game for Nanaimo last week. Graydon Susie, Griffin Hall, Josh Gabriel, Jordan Neary, Brendan Boyle, Colby Bowman, Devlin Shanahan, Ryan Sheridan's there, obviously. Jared Smith, Caleb Kresser, and I thought the goalie for Nanaimo last week was really good too. But talk a little bit more then as we move on here about this season, because obviously the 2025 WLA season has just started like last week. Obviously a lot of Vancouver Warriors involvement, Vancouver Warriors sponsorship, and I grabbed something off the Vancouver Warriors Facebook account last week because it was a preview of key matchups in the WLA. Obviously, we're featuring a lot of guys, right, from the NLL and Vancouver Warriors teams. I went to Thursdays and Fridays games, reasonably priced games too. Burnaby's was 15, your guys' was 20. And then obviously Saturday, Bellies played again. You guys beat the Berards, right?
Sunday night, yeah.
Yeah, Sunday night. Thank you. And then obviously Langley Event Center on the 28th was Timberman again against the Thunder. And then tomorrow night it's Coquitlam.
We played them last night. We played Langley last night.
Yeah, that's right. And that was the Timberman who played them on the 28th. So there's a lot of real, obviously not a big league. These teams are mixing really close, right? But let's keep on moving here because you're talking about it being a 2-team race this year. Tell me a little bit about that for the WLA. Obviously, this is kind of a season kickoff and a season preview, right? You said you guys, and we know how good the Shamrocks were last year in the WLA with their undefeated season. I had Langley GM Rob Bucket on last year during the WLA playoffs, but I actually had, and I can't remember his last name, Chris, who was the GM of the Victoria Shamrocks on during the WLA regular season. So tell me a little bit about this race between these two teams.
Yeah, nothing against all the other teams, but
no, of course not. No, of course not. of
if you
course not.
look at the teams that have made additions going into this year, it seems like New West and Victoria have
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of pushed to try to get over that hump and compete for a Man Cup. So obviously, Victoria's made it to the Man Cup last year. They loaded up on some offensive talent, some defensive talent. They got a great goaltending with the Wrigley, so they're going to be
Yep.
tough to beat. And I mean, anytime you go over to their arena for a game, it's a tough place to play. They usually sell out. So
Yeah, it's
um,
a pretty awesome environment there too. But I mean, Queens
yeah,
Park Arena, come on. I mean, that's a classic, right?
I don't know if
How
you
can you argue?
check. Were you at the Man Cup a couple years ago? There's not many
I was at the Man
better
Cup a couple of years ago, actually. I
places
was.
to play it, host a Man Cup than Queens Park Arena.
Yeah, there is. And I remember you texting me that last week. And, I just remember thinking that and thinking, and it struck me again. And it struck me at the time. I've said it to several people, just the loudness of the drumming of the Six Nations fans. And I'm actually hoping to get to a North Shore Indians men's senior B lacrosse game tonight at 8:00. So I'm really cramming in the lacrosse
Yeah, there you
with the
go.
weekend starting. And so there again is the, I believe it's these Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish Nations who typically attend those games, and a lot of drumming there too. But that's one of the things that stuck out for me from the Man Cup. That's a little aside, right? Is that whole that atmosphere of the drumming and the fans from the Six Nations. And I mean, that Six Nations team has won the last 2 Man Cups, right? So, I
Yeah,
think it's going to be interesting to see with the Major Lacrosse League season, which obviously goes on in the province of Ontario. And it started as well. What's going to happen? Who ends up in the Man Cup? Because Victoria was there last year playing Six Nations after you guys were there 2 years ago playing Six Nations. So lots of nice
yeah,
parody and drama dropping here. And I don't know about you, but I think people are really missing out on high quality sporting entertainment, great atmosphere for cheaper prices than, a lot of sporting events in this town. I guess maybe you have to go inside rather than outside to a game. But yeah, no, share with me a little bit more about that. Cause I mean, that's huge, right? The atmosphere.
like to go to a Man Cup game or any game in the
Yeah.
WLA.
Well, just any game in the WLA, but then the Man Cup too.
Yeah, like I mean, it's WLA lacrosse. You've got a lot of pro guys coming. Like I was born and raised in New Westminster, so I've
Yep.
got a lot of family and friends in New West. So it's fun going back to the hometown. A lot of these guys are playing for the hometown and getting put
Yep.
on the jersey and representing the city that pretty much made them lacrosse players. So and you've got great talent. You got young talent that's not in the NLL yet, and you've got pro guys coming back to their hometown and playing for the city. And the Man Cup, I mean, it's something that I hope one day the NLL gets to where you can play a best of 7 series because I've played
Yeah.
in a few Man Cups, haven't been able to win one yet, but they're tough series, and I know
Yeah. I saw it first
it's
now.
really you play if it goes 7 games in 9 days, and just like how competitive it is, the
Yep.
physicality, the mental toll it takes on your body. So, like at the end of the day, if you can win a Man Cup, you've definitely done something that not too many people have done before.
Well, I really hope it happens this year for the West and the WLA. I'd like to see somebody beat the Six Nations Chiefs just so we can have the Man Cup here in the West. I'm trying to remember. I know I looked it up back then and even recently when the last time the Man Cup was actually in the WLA from a WLA champion rather than in the Major Lacrosse League. But
Victoria beat Peterborough. I want to say around 2017, 2016 ish, 2018
okay,
maybe.
so it's
But
time.
besides
So
that, it was 2001 at home.
that's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah,
thought. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
yeah,
while. But let's just share on one thing that I was kind of sad to see. And obviously, it's not really sad, but Ethan Ticehurst comes to Vancouver from Calgary in exchange for Aiden Walsh. Let's shift gears to a little bit of Warriors talk there because this is something I know we can do with you.
yeah.
I know you're comfortable answering that question. Sorry to see Aiden go. I mean, even with Christian arriving and obviously having Connor O'Toole in the roster, 3 goalies is probably not going to happen in the WLA. I don't know the roster rules like you do, but sorry to see Aiden go. I mean, he did so much here as a young goaltender. I really hope he has success in Calgary. I think he deserves it. What does that trade do for the Warriors, even obviously with Aiden leaving?
Yeah, it's tough. Everybody in the locker room loved Aiden. It's one of those things where we get Christian Del Bianco. Aiden's a proven starter in this league. It's like for a guy like Aiden, he deserves to be on a different team and play every single night. I mean, he's just got so much talent that I think it'd be wasting playing behind Christian Del Bianco. But Tice first, he's a fast righty transition man. He's young and he's won a championship, I believe. Did he win in when Calgary won? I think he did.
I think
If
he did.
not,
I don't know much about him, Brett, but you would know better than I. I mean, I can look
I
it up,
think
but
he's a
we'll keep.
Coquitlam kid, but
Okay.
he's a good defender with some wheels. And I know Del Bianco is going to be love seeing him run the floor where Delbs can hit him in stride.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I was looking for last week. Let's maybe it's not the focus of tonight's podcast, but to be able to go to Burnaby last Friday after being in New West on Thursday and see the Adirondacks and Lakers, which is technically an easier drive for me than driving from North Van to New West for $5 less. Not that it matters, but to see Christian play. And I was watching for those passes, you bringing that up, and I had a good chuckle thinking about watching Christian, and he had this interesting mix of Adirondacks gear on plus some of his Warriors gear.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of neat to see him out there, but I was thinking it must have maybe been a thrill for the young Burnaby goaltender, because the Lakers beat them 7-6. And I didn't obviously see any Christian losses in the regular season when he came to the Warriors, but that was a fun game to watch. And, I don't know a lot about the Adirondacks team this year, so maybe you can share a little bit more on some of the other teams in the WLA before we wrap it up. Because as soon as I saw Christian out there, I took a picture of him, right? And I was thinking, oh, right. Okay. And now he's here playing with us after being in Calgary.
Yeah, I think obviously Coquitlam's going to have a shot any night against any team they play because of Christian Del Bianco in net. But they've got a good defense. I think they've got some young offensive talent. I think Maple Ridge will be good. It's Langley, pretty sure what's Langley 2-1 now. So
I think so. I haven't looked at the standings. I can look, but it's a bit early because I think there was a tweet from the Bellies Twitter account last night, something about playoff preview or something, and I was like, guys, it's like a week into the season, but anyway, people are getting excited.
Yeah, I think obviously Victoria loaded up, we loaded up, and then all the other teams. There's a lot of parity in this league too. I think,
which is great.
I didn't play last year, but I think the year I did play, it was a very tight finish for a playoff, kind of like the NLL.
Right.
So anything can happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for doing this, Brett. Maybe we'll check in with you again later on. I know you've been such a gracious guest and so great for us all season with the Warriors, but this is a treat to be able to do this one with you as well, just because it's nice to get a guest on to do some WLA stuff after having a few guests last year. So before we wrap it up, just want to throw everybody some information, facebook.com/Golden V podcast, goldenvpodcast.ca. Check out our Buzzsprout page, buzzsprout.com/1869778. We'll talk to everyone soon.